Hey guys, I've been planning to record this video for years because there are many videos and many tutorials on how to get started in cybersecurity. And there are many courses out there, but very few, and I think none of them answers the question why. Why should you go into cybersecurity? Why should you become a defender or a pen tester? Why? There are so many professions out there. You could become a doctor, you could become a lawyer, you could become a gardener. So, why cybersecurity? Well, this is the story of my life. And this is the story that I want to share with you. And maybe you will be inspired. I hope you will be inspired by my story because I started out at a very, very low place. I grew up in an extremely poor family and I had a very bad outcome in life because I lived in the poorest country in Europe, in Eastern Europe. On top of that, I'm Russian, all right? And as a Russian, it's much more difficult to succeed, to prove yourself, to convince people to trust you in the Western world than it would be for a British or a US national. And despite all that difficulty, cybersecurity has given me a way to live my life in the way that I want. I traveled the world. I visited Africa, Asia, the US, Europe. I traveled practically all over the globe because of cybersecurity. I was able to see different countries, different cultures, to consult clients all over the world, to solve very difficult and interesting problems for people. And of course, when you solve such problems for people, they share part of their wealth with you. They want to say thank you, and their thanks convert into currency. So part of the question answer to the question why should you go into cybersecurity is because, well, cybersecurity pays very well, but it's not just about the financial part, it's about the life-changing part of it. And I'll try to share with you everything that I want to share and hopefully inspire you. Now, a few words about me. I've spoken at very large cybersecurity conferences. PH Days is similar to the Black Hat conference in the US, but it's hosted in Moscow, Russia. And it's a huge conference. It has thousands of participants over very large audiences. And speaking at this conference 3 times in a row was a privilege. But it's not just a privilege, it's a result of really hard work. And speaking at that conference allowed me to be noticed, and later I was invited in Dubai. But that's another story. I worked at Microsoft, and I worked at Hewlett Packard, and I worked at a nuclear organization, and now I have my own company, and all of that I owe to cybersecurity. The curious part about my workplaces is that I never had a technical university degree. Actually, I achieved all of that without a university degree. And I only got a university degree when I got tired of people asking me, imagine we're sitting at a table with colleagues, friends, and all of them have a master's degree, some of them have a PhD, and then they ask me, Alex, where did you study? And I was like, I have a high school diploma, guys. And you just imagine the shocked faces of those people looking at me, knowing that I work for Microsoft and or Hewlett Packard and all the other companies on the previous slide, and they were like, "What? Really? How?" And this video is gonna share how. I'm gonna try to share my way of how I got where I am right now. And you can follow this way. You can follow my steps you can follow the steps described in this video and you can achieve even greater results for yourself because you are likely not Russian. You don't have the limitation of having to prove you're not dangerous in the Western world. And you will have a much higher chance of success because you probably don't start as low as I had to start at. Um, why? Also, part of the question why is because the world needs, it desperately needs cybersecurity experts. The world's biggest data breaches infographic on your screen right now shows that there are breaches where hundreds of millions and even billions of people suffering from cybersecurity breaches. Uh, all those companies desperately need your help. Desperately. They need managers. They need technical, non-technical cybersecurity personnel. They need anything that is cyber related to solve the problem of the cybercrime growing so much in the past years. And it's not going to stop growing because the profits for the cybercrime world are exponentially growing and the attacks are growing exponentially and the need for cybersecurity experts grows exponentially with them. Now, about my start. Well, I started in a very similar situation to the image on the left. I grew up in Eastern Europe and my surroundings were like that. My surroundings were extremely, extremely poor and criminally rich environment. And I got from the situation on the left to the situation on the right only due to me choosing to develop my skills, my expertise in the cybersecurity field. Now, you can achieve the same in any field, and the steps I'm going to describe probably work the same way in any field that you choose. It just so happens that this video is about cybersecurity and how to succeed in the cybersecurity world and why you should succeed in the cybersecurity world. Well, imagine my motivation. I mean, now I see why. Now I see why. And you probably see from this image as well. Um, I was able to live in a penthouse in Dubai on the 76th floor uh, in a skyscraper on the last floor of a skyscraper. And those images are taken with my phone, with my camera. They're not taken off the internet. I took those images. I took those photos. And that's the view from my window. My windows were overlooking the Palm in Dubai, and the photos with the clouds. This is actually fog, but you can see this in the spring, which is actually around January in Dubai, when the clouds fall down. Um, and just imagine going. What would it mean for anyone coming from a poor environment, a very low start? What it means for something like that, for someone like that, to change their life from this to this. And it happened for me because I chose cybersecurity, because I worked my ass off, because I studied I studied and learned and learned and learned until I'm able to share solutions with this world for which the world is gladly saying thank you in the form of currency. Now, I was also able to do this. I rode a motorcycle in the dunes in Dubai, in the jungles of Thailand, in Africa, and I rode snowmobiles in the mountains. All thanks to my job in cybersecurity. And if you really want excitement in your life, if you really want to have the fruit of hard work, which actually pays well, and well, cybersecurity is the way to get there. It's one of the ways to get there, but it's a very, very good way to get there. You don't have to deal and go on the criminal side of it. You can very well achieve success by just working for the good guys and develop your skills and become one of the good guys, because it really pays well if you really work and study hard. Um, but just studying anything, random things, will not get you much. You have to read and study the right things. And in the next slide, I'll try to share the right strategy that worked for me, and it worked extremely well, as you can see. Now, I'm gonna play a video by Will Smith, and this video was recorded many years ago, and it changed my life. I'm not exaggerating here. This video really changed my life. When I saw this video, I saw it several times in a row, and it motivated me so much to read even more, to struggle, to run, to do sports even more, and to develop myself and get where I am today.
I want to say something that I want you to remember for the rest of your lives, okay? I want you to listen closely. I'm giving you the key to life right now. This is the key to life. The key to life is running and reading, all right? Now listen, very serious. The key to life is running and reading. All right, now, why running? When you're running and you're out there and you're running, there's a little person that talks to you. And that little person says, oh, I'm tired. My lungs are about to pop. Oh, I'm so hurt. I'm so tired. There's no way I could possibly continue. And you want to quit, right? That person, if you learn how to defeat that person when you're running, you will learn how to not quit when things get hard in your life. Running, all right? That's the first key to life.
I got this real psychotic thing about, like, perfection and working hard. And like real young, I realized that the person that works the hardest wins. And it's like, while the other guy's sleeping, I'm working. The other guy's eating, I'm working. The other guy's making love. I'm making love, but I'm working hard at it.
But let's make it very clear, you're not making love with that other guy.
What you do and do what you love. Love what you do and do what you love.
Reading. The reason that reading is so important. There have been millions and billions and billions and gazillions of people that have lived before all of us. There's no new problem you could have with your parents, with school, with a bully, with anything. There's no problem you can have that someone hasn't already solved and wrote about it in a book. So the keys to life are running and reading.
Now, guys, this video is very emotional for me, and there is a reason for that. When I spoke at a conference in Moscow on cybersecurity, on incident response, memory forensics, if I remember correctly, I got noticed, and due to me speaking at a conference, which is one of the keys to success, you can't just be an expert, you have to share what you know. And by speaking at conferences, you will get noticed. It's a critical part of your success in any field. Public speaking. Public speaking is an absolute necessity, in my opinion, in my experience, not just in my opinion. Public speaking is extremely important, because when you prepare for a speech, you learn. It's not just speaking what you know. You want to be useful to the audience. You want to be more useful and share more with them than they already know. And that's challenging. That's tough. That's really tough. And preparing for a speech, for a 1 hour speech in front of 1,000 people, impressing 1,000 people, you have to be really, really well prepared. It doesn't just happen just like that. And I did it several times already, but back then it took a lot of prep. I recommend that someday you do the same prep and you stand in front of an audience and share. And I guarantee the moment you start sharing, you will experience such joy. such joy from sharing and delivering value to people that your life's gonna change. Uh, so public speaking is part of the recipe. But why this video is so important for me, the Will Smith video, and the reason I shared it with you is because when I got noticed, I was invited to work in Dubai. Imagine jumping from the poorest country in Eastern Europe to Dubai, to one of the richest places on earth. Was a huge progress for me. But when I landed there, it turned out that I have no friends, no relatives, no girlfriends, nobody, nobody, just me alone in a foreign country, in a different culture, in the desert. Well, it's not exactly desert in Dubai, but it's very close to the desert. And when you're so alone and stressed from a new environment, you might get depressed. And that's what happened with me. I got depressed and lonely. And the only thing that saved me was running. And I ran and I ran and I ran. And I ran so much and so for such long periods of time. In the night, I ran at the edge of the city. There was a running path around the lake, around the little oasis, artificial lake, and it was in the desert. Right after the lake was a desert, and I ran around this lake, around and around, until my feet started hurting, and they started hurting so much that tears ran on my face from pain, from the pain of in my feet. But I didn't stop. I remembered this video by Will Smith. I didn't stop. I didn't want to give up. I didn't want to go back home and give up on my chance in life. I didn't want to give up. And that's another key to life and another key to success in the cybersecurity field. Don't give up. Just don't ever give up. I had to go in a hospital after that and operate my feet because I hurt them from running so much. But this is not a way to follow, so be careful, guys. Preserve your health. But the way to follow is to never ever ever give up on your goals, on your dreams, on what you believe in. Don't ever give up, because if you give up, then if you give up just right before you get to the top of the mountain, all your climbing to the top is wasted. If you don't get to the top, if you don't achieve your goal, all your prep is wasted. And why should you waste it? Because if you don't give up, you will get there. Now, if you choose cybersecurity as your field, just don't ever give up. That's the key. That's the key to life. That's the key to everything else. And then one other key is reading. And reading, my friends, is an amazing key to life, because authors usually start writing books after decades of experience in any field. And just by reading a book, you might tap into 20 or more years of experience of the author, and you get this experience for yourself. Now, one of the key parts here is to not read the book just once, but several times, especially if it's a really valuable book, because it's impossible to get the value of a book in one sitting, in one reading. Read it over and over again if you believe that you can extract more and more from each time you read it. There are books that I've read more than 10 times, and I will still read them in the future. I know, because they're so valuable for me and in general. Um, Reading is what differentiates you from everyone else in any field. And in the field of cybersecurity and any other field, the more you read, the better you get, the more you're able to share, the more solutions are you able to bring to this world, the more problems you can solve, the higher you're valued in this world. And it's not just about money, it's about the value that you bring in the world and your satisfaction from life. Because the moment you start bringing value to this world, your satisfaction from life grows as well. And um, now, which book should you start with? Well, you have to learn to walk before you can run. Some of the books you should start with might be boring for you. They might be too technical or too dry. But And even as you grow in your profession, you might start reading books which are even drier and even more difficult to read and understand and comprehend. But learn to walk before you can run. That's the way. um, so a book that I recommend is The Art of War. And The Art of War is written by a Chinese general hundreds of years ago. And the wisdom of this book can be applied to life, can be applied to cybersecurity, can be applied to so many fields. And that's why so many experts in so many fields recommend this particular book. Now, an advice I'm going to give you in this video, uh, Sun Pin is another author related to Sun Tzu, the author of The Art of War. He has a book as well. Read that as well. But The Art of War is an extremely valuable book. It's a fundamental book in defense. And if you want to master the art of defense, this book is going to give you a lot, and especially if you read it several times throughout your career. Um, Another book that I highly recommend is Diplomacy by Henry Kissinger. Um, Diplomacy is a key skill, especially in the workplace, especially in business, because there are conflicts between countries, between businesses, between experts in the same company. There will be conflicts in your own department. There will be conflicts between you and your boss, you and your colleagues, you and the HR person who is not convinced that they want to hire you. And the way to achieve success in life, to achieve what you want in life, is to make sure that your counterpart achieves what they want, and only then you can achieve what you want. That's key in diplomacy. And learning the skills of diplomacy is key to success in the cybersecurity field, because cybersecurity is a very conflicting environment. You will have conflicts with IT, with management, with vendors, and solving those conflicts in a diplomatic way is an amazing way to get ahead in life. And that's not something you will learn in the university. That's life, my friends. This series of books, Stealing the Network, they are written in a way that they seem like a novel, and they're extremely interesting and easy to read. And they're a great start if you're just starting up in cybersecurity. They will give you the fundamental understanding of cybersecurity attack and defense, how hackers operate, and it's a great start overall. Of course, you will have to understand networking. And I'm not saying you should read this particular book. I'm just saying you have to read some book for beginners on networking, just to understand networking. And in the world of cloud, it gets a little bit less relevant, just a little bit less relevant, because it's still critically important for you to understand networking before you proceed with learning the technical side of cybersecurity. Another book that I highly recommend is Hacking Exposed, the 7th edition. Why specifically the 7th edition? Because it mentions a lot of tools and techniques which, even if less relevant today, they are still very much relevant in principle and in general. So read this book as as you progress through the after you finished with the other books, read this one, because it will give you a very solid understanding of how hackers operate before you proceed with more technical and more specialized books. CS50 is a course by Harvard University, and it's an amazing course. If you decide that your cybersecurity career is going into a more technical field rather than a non-technical field, CS50 is a great start. But even if you don't go through the technical field, if, for example, if you want to go with social engineering or security awareness or sales and marketing in cybersecurity, this course is going to be useful to you if you're able to get to week 8. But you should be. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's computer science. Um, it's a very important fundamental level to be at before you proceed further. And it's a free course by one of the best universities in the world. How much better can it get, guys? Really. Um, the career paths you can choose are many, and they depend on your inclination towards being more technical or being less technical, having more social skills or more technical skills, or higher mathematical skills. Um, it all depends on you and your preference and what makes you feel better and more comfortable. Um, if you are more technical, the ones on the left are more suited for you. If you're not technical, I highlighted security sales and marketing in red because this is one field where you can make great success. And if you become very good in security sales and marketing, it's going to make it even easier for you to later on, once you become really good at what you do, to open a business in the field of cybersecurity and be even more successful. Um, Sales and marketing skills are valuable everywhere. They're valuable for forensic experts, for malware analysts, for pen testers, for blue team engineers. If you're able to sell your point of view to the other person, you're likely to convince them and you're likely to achieve what you want in life. So sales skills and marketing skills are important in general. Um, if you're not technical, don't be afraid. You can do very well. I've seen people in the security awareness field making amazing amount of money uh, just doing security awareness and sales and marketing, or just security awareness. So uh, the amount of money you make depends, it correlates directly to the value you can bring to the customer. And if you can bring a lot of value with any of those fields, you are going to be very well in financially. Next, certificates. Now, certificates are a sensitive topic for many. The thing is that it's like you cannot go without them, at least in the employment field. If you want to be employed, you will have to have some certificates. It's just you cannot go without them. The value of certificates is mostly in being noticed and being able to prove that you know something. Uh, the value for your clients and the value for solving real life problems is almost non-existent because certificates are, a test that you take, and being able to take a test and answer correctly a bunch of questions is not really the skill that equates to being able to solve a real life problem for a company, especially for a multinational company. But if you have to be noticed by HR personnel, by recruiters, you have to have certificates. So it's an inevitable evil. You just have to live with it. I personally dislike certificates, and I let many of my certificates expire because now that I have my own business, I don't have to worry about impressing recruiters. But when I had to impress recruiters, I had to get certificates, and that's the same that you're gonna experience as well. Imagine for some of the jobs in the cybersecurity field in Dubai, there were thousands of applicants because people from all over the world want to work in Dubai. And getting a job in Dubai is extremely difficult because you have to compete against thousands of people. And the only way to get to a recruiter, if you're extremely lucky, it takes a lot of luck and skill, but you have to have the right keywords and the right certificates on your resume that would match the automated algorithms in the automated systems that go through thousands of resumes to show the recruiter just the ones that are relevant. Um, So keep that in mind. There is going to be an automated system somewhere that's going to go and read with an algorithm through your resume. And if they don't see the certificates they require in the job description, nobody's going to read about you. Nobody's going to read your life story and be impressed by you, even if you did great things. But if you don't have the certificates, you're not going to get noticed. So uh, you have to accept the need for certificates out there, unfortunately. Next, there are three major cloud providers and many more smaller ones. But if you get your skills um, in the order that I told you about, and if you specialize in one of them or all three of them, if you have lots of free time to learn all three of them, but if you specialize in Amazon Web Services or Azure or Google Cloud, uh, you will never, in the near future, you will not have any issues finding a job in the cybersecurity field. There are on the Amazon Web Services training website, there are quite a lot of training courses available to help you become an expert in this field. And the same applies to Microsoft Azure, Microsoft 365, and the Google Cloud environment. It's all a matter of specialization and focusing and learning. Um, if I show you, and it's not just courses, of course, you have to read books. If I show you my library on Amazon, it's more than 9 pages of book listing. Uh, the books that I've read in the cybersecurity field, and not just the cybersecurity field, of course, but my cybersecurity library in Kindle, because I mostly use Kindle, is huge. And I wouldn't have gotten where I was. Remember those images? I mean, I couldn't have gotten here if I hadn't read uh, many, many books on cybersecurity. And I couldn't have become the expert for the people that I solve problems for without reading all those books. So, as Will Smith puts it very well, running and reading are two keys in life. Um, and I've written a blog post that I will link in the description to this video, which will give you more books and more titles to read. I didn't want to bore you with book titles so much in this video. And this video is not just about books, it's about motivation in answering the question, why cybersecurity? But I hope you got the answer why. It's because you can achieve a lot for people, and by achieving a lot for people, and by learning a lot, and by practicing a lot, you can achieve anything you want in life, and you can get anywhere you want in life. Now, when you apply to jobs, it's a very and how do you apply to jobs? It's a very tricky question, especially if there are many candidates for the same position. Nobody is going to get to know you from a piece of paper or from 4 pages or 2 pages or even 1 page of a resume. You have to learn how to write a resume, and you have to learn how to apply and get to the right people. Because if you just go the standard path of sending a resume through the LinkedIn or job application page, you're not going to get anywhere. And that's why I highly recommend this book, Think and Grow Rich. It sounds it sounds cheesy, and I mean it really sounds cheesy by looking at the title. But Napoleon Hill wrote this book over a period of 20 years, more than 20 years, and the content of this book is extremely valuable. And I'm not showing it to you by chance. This was a key turning point in my life when I read this book, and it has a chapter on applying for jobs. And it's an extremely well written chapter, guys. Just read this chapter and follow it to the point. And if you follow the chapter on applying to jobs from this book, you will get amazing jobs, amazing positions in amazing companies. Remember, I didn't have a university degree. I didn't have a college degree. I didn't have a university degree. I didn't have the family or the connections or anyone. I started extremely low. Remember this Eastern European photo from the beginning of the video? I started really, really low. And getting where I was, working for Microsoft's security consulting department, traveling the world, seeing, consulting banks, walking into central banks. Uh, I achieved that by reading. And I read this book before I got in banks and central banks while working for Microsoft. This book, the Napoleon Hill book, was a key turning point for me. And it can be a key turning point for you as well. So I really hope that you listen to me and read it. Maybe read it several times because I read it several times, and every time I read it, I got more and more value from it. And I wanna leave you with this image, and I wanna wish you to reach a point in life where you live exactly where you wanted to live, or even somewhere in a situation where you feel you're much better off than you ever imagined. I really wish this for you, that you get to a point in life that you feel extremely successful, extremely valuable, happy, satisfied, fulfilled because of your achievement in the field that you choose. And if you achieve this with cybersecurity, even better. I mean, that's the field that I love. I personally love the field of cybersecurity. And if I was able to give you some motivation to go there and to work hard on it, hard at it, then all the better. I wish you all the success. Just keep reading, keep running, never give up on your goals and dreams, and you will get there, I promise.